Hello, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today we are going to work on another oyster painting. In front of me I have an 8x10 canvas that I prepped with Daniel Smith watercolor ground. This was prepped probably a week or two ago, so it's had plenty of time to dry. And recently I saw the ground for sale at Michael's. I didn't know that they had it there. And the different ground is different tones, so might be something worth experimenting with. Percy really wants my lap right now, so I have Percy with me. We are going to look at a type of oyster known as little B words. I don't know if YouTube has issues with the title of it, so I'll probably put it in little asterisks so nobody's offended. The picture that I'm looking at is from clamandoyster.com, a website that sells these clams. And the picture is interesting because it's kind of piled up. I figured it'd be a fun way to experiment, just see like a pile of oysters. It's even displayed over a kind of pile of rocks, or it almost looks like crushed walnut. With red down in this region. I think I'm going to incorporate that as opposed to much of a shadow with it. I'll let Percy get underneath the camera for a moment. Say hi to everybody, Percy, and then I got to put you down so we can work on stuff, okay? There you go. I put a HEPA filter in the art room to kind of help deal with the dust and the cat fur that's been building up. I'm going to go into this. I'm grabbing some yellow ochre. I found last time I was using a lot of yellow ochre with it. I'm going to mix some raw sienna in. I'm going to use this to kind of map out these oysters. Now, one video that I've never watched that's quite popular on YouTube, and it's a popular painting tutorial and challenge. I've always meant to watch it. It's by Rick Sukowitz. I believe it's by him, and it's painting rocks. It's kind of like a rock challenge. And this is very reminiscent of kind of the layout of rocks. I think watching something like that and studying, probably doing still life studies with seashells piled in this manner, would be very beneficial. Looking for the different colors, playing with the essentially negative space that winds up getting used, how we're going to darken some of these spots, put the shadows in to help create the forms. And I think we'll go this way. So they're kind of piled up. Put out some lamp black. I tried to put out some fresh pigments on my palette, and my uncle had called. Well, I had called him back, and we spoke for a little while about my art show that took place. Still going on right now, but we had the Meet the Artist night and went really, really well. So I was really excited about that. And so anyway, so some of the paints kind of a little have a little bit of skin over them. In Louisiana right now, we're still in the middle of the heat wave, and this is kind of pertinent to the painting process, I think, is that let me see, right in here is a shadow. So I'm just kind of putting in the black where I see my shadows to help kind of form some of these oyster shapes. Anyway, so we've had the heat waves for so long, and we have had no rain at all, that at first we would have 99, 100 degree temperature, and it feels like would be 116, because of the humidity and everything. But that being said, it's been so hot with no moisture, I think the humidity isn't there anymore, but the heat is kind of rising. So I think the humidity in my house is lower than it usually is. So if I was to do my wet and wet painting, I think I would have a quicker drying time taking place. So everybody always asks, how do my paintings stay wet for so long? I think humidity within an environment really plays a big part. I'm just grabbing a little bit of this color to move around. I think I'm going to grab some raw sienna, burnt sienna, sorry, because I want the redder side. I want it to pop forward. And I'm going to put that down in here so we can get a recession of this pile by making the ground that it's sitting on come forward. I don't want it to kind of go up too much like a wall. I want it to be a transition back. Some dry brush would be great for the effect of the rocks sitting about. So definitely different than my approach in the previous oyster videos. However, this is more kind of a collection of oysters as opposed to really showcasing a single oyster. I think that might allow us to skip a lot of detail. I have light red out too. Let's see how that goes. Light red with ultramarine would give me kind of a purple, but I'm not really looking for that just yet. I'm using the lamp black. Just looking at the kind of volume forms that I'm looking at. So you can see a little bit of kind of contouring take place with these mark makings. That's going to recede. This is too high up. So it kind of went into like almost an atmospheric type air, so I think feeding into it in this fashion will help it recede back. It almost seems like a horizon line right here, and that's what I'm battling. Ultramarine blue, maybe mix into this would help with that recession. Let's see. And I mean, it might just be something that I struggle with in this one. Light red. Intermix, mix a little bit of that lamp black. A lot of yellow ochre in this picture, so I'm going to go back to that, and I'm going to intermingle yellow ochre with the raw sienna. I continue looking for those contours and just go along that path. I'm going to go back and forth a little bit between the two brushes. This is the number 4 rigger. Back to the squirrel mop. Raw sienna. So a lot of people ask about the difference between raw sienna and yellow ochre, and if people have them on both palettes. Usually people would go with one or the other. The Ron Ransom palette goes with the raw sienna. I don't know anybody that particularly goes directly for yellow ochre, but I know that there people are. I don't know if there's any palettes that name that. Well, yeah, so it shows up in the Zorn palette as one of the 4 pigments. And anyway, so people ask, which one should they go with? For right now, I'd say just kind of go with the raw sienna. The yellow ochre is more opaque, but one of our issues is that since we're so within like just earth colors here and so within the yellows, using both of them is an advantage to kind of go back and forth between the two. We're going to have to put a color here that lets this other one sit forward, or lighten up that with a arc of white gouache. You see, we're feeding into here. I'll play more black in a bit. I have a little bit of raw umber. For my browner aspects. Hopefully that shows how the one sits on front of the other. So kind of layering them. I'm going to come back in with more black in this area and really darken that up. I'm just looking for the form right now. Same thing with this guy. He sits a little awkward. I think that I might omit this one. So, artistic license, obviously lets you omit anything you want. So, it was all wet and wet, so I just touched it with a paper towel. And nothing I'm using is going to stain. Really no staining pigments. More of that black. There we go. Grab some of my raw umber. Some more black. sienna. I think I could push some of these yellows a little bit in an earthy green direction. I can get that by mixing in a little bit of the lamp black into this, or let me see the raw umber mixed into the sienna and the ochre. So I always kind of think of umber as a cooler, greener color, the raw umber. This is where our ochres are, the white gouache is going to be used. Let me darken this guy up a little bit more. This guy gets pushed back behind that oyster. I might leave these two super soft in that fashion. Just putting that horizontal line in, just really trying to force that plane to happen. I'm going to feed a little bit of more umber in here, just for a little bit of marks. Let's see how that looks. And then lamp black, yellow ochre, looking for the green that I really didn't get from the raw umber, that feeling. This comes up and over. This guy's really got to make more of a statement so that he seems like he's sitting on top of it. Don't need any highlights coming through there. I'm going to have to lighten this edge up. Yeah, Percy. Oh, no nails. No nails, Percy. The cats need their nails trimmed again soon. The illusion of just kind of it fading back. In the photograph itself, so once again, I'm referencing a photo from clamandOyster.com, a website that sells these oysters. And I talked about the artistic license that I took with like editing out what I didn't want to utilize. Within the photo itself, it is in focus in the front three, and then it kind of starts losing focus. And then from there, we just see kind of that soft background, which is the rocks with it, but I'm changing that up. I'm also looking for, there's one other thing I needed to mention before I do a dry off. I'm looking for the, sorry, I have Percy on the side. I'm just kind of like trying to hold her off from jumping in my lap at the moment. A little bit of highlights that I can pull back before we do white gouache. The overlaps that we're looking for, I think we got a little cat hair right there and cat hair right here. The cats are shitting bad too today. I'm going to pause the camera so I can take care of this. Alright, so while I had paused that, I did my dry off, and you can see how things softened quite a bit. I did mention that I picked up a HEPA filter and a carbon filter for the art room to help put this cat hair situation under control. Alright, I'm looking at that edge. I think there's some edges that I want to clean up and some that I'm going to want loose. These three I think I'm going to focus on. And I have a lamp black light red oxide mix. I'm looking for that texture of the table. So a while back I went to TJ Maxx. I picked up a little bamboo kind of rotating thing that'll let me put all my brushes in, so I've been slowly cleaning up the art desk as well. Alright, I'm painting one-handed. I got Percy locked on my lap. Percy, if you want on my lap, you're on my lap. I don't know how much I want to creep up into this section. Now she's out the lap. If you're a cat owner, you know how it is. So my main focus, like I said, is going to be on these three. Wet the brush and pull that over a little bit. Alright, let's look back here and do the same thing. I want a little bit of form. Darken them. Looking for that shadow. This. here, just little gestural marks. Just the idea. Okay. I think I continue with just the idea. I need to bring my dark photo a little bit. Percy, what you doing? Okay, I'm going to pause the camera for a moment and do a quick dry off. Okay, I have my gouache, my white gouache container out. I'm going to put a little smidge out of fresh. This is the Da Vinci brand. I'm a huge fan of Da Vinci brand paints, so that's what I have. Though, to be completely transparent, Mind of Watercolor did an experiment with the different white gouaches and found that the Da Vinci brand was the least opaque, so least covering power. I wonder if over time the formulas will change for different brands, like the ratios that they use, the amount of pigment, or I wonder if it's pigment quantity versus how ground it is. I believe gouache itself is not finely ground and sits on top of the paper as opposed to soaking into it or going in between the fibers of the paper as much as watercolor does. But that being said, I feel like I say that a lot in these videos, that being said, I believe that there's also fillers in different brands. So you have your binder, which is, I believe, gum arabic, but some gouaches are acrylic based, which means you can't re-wet them. Once they dry, they're dry. There's some that have, I think, like a honey mixed into it. I'm not sure if it's for consistency or what. And then there's the Chinese brush painting, which uses the animal glue. And I think there's some other carriers for watercolor gouache. But and then there's kind of fillers that take place, and it may be like optical brighteners. I really don't know what's used as fillers, but it's usually the difference between maybe a student grade brand and a professional grade brand. For instance, if you use Cotman. Cotman has, so Winsor Newton is Cotman's student grade, and then they Winsor Newton professional watercolors. And a lot of them use the same pigments, but in different percentages. And then some student grades might just have the synthetic version of the pigment. Get a little bit of dry brush. That ridge is going to help it sit forward. And that comes around. I have this brush out. I don't even know what it's meant for. It's one of the buy it, try it, buy one get one type brushes for $1 from from Jerry's Artorama. This is the round number 2 Black Swan Creative Mark. I'm gonna grab some black with this and start playing with shadows and ridges. So black with some yellow ochre. I need a little bit of warmth in here. That yellow ochre. This guy has the most detail, so I want more movement. And just kind of getting that contour to take place. Just kind of a little bit stronger yellow ochre just to kind of get that one brush stroke on them. Just really trying to get those guys to stay soft in the background and bring the three forward. I think I'm going to stop this video here. I'm going to do the finishing touches off camera. I'm going to label it the title and my name. I remember this photo is from clamandOyster.com is what I'm referencing. Thank you for watching, and please like, subscribe, follow. And if you want to support this channel, I have the Patreon link down below. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel through Patreon. I use that for art supplies and to keep experiments rolling. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.